welcome to the weekend preview show. I'm Dan Breen, and this time we're coming to you from the ice pad here at Planet Ice Peterborough. On this week's show, we'll be looking at our upcoming games against the Bracknell Bees and the Sheffield Steel Dogs. We'll be having a chat to club captain James Ferrara, but first, here's the news. News from Milton Keynes. It appears that Bobby Chamberlain has actually fractured his skull in the game against Swindon Wildcats. It's never an injury you want to see for anyone, let alone a player. We send our best wishes for a swift recovery to Bobby. In other news, it looks like Alan Lack has left the Basingstoke Bison. This was actually announced on Christmas Eve by the London Raiders, who he's now gone to join, with probably one of the most poetic press releases we've seen in a long time. And following events on Tuesday the 27th in Hull, looks like Sheffield could be missing quite a few players for this weekend's games against the Phantoms. Pavel Murner being thrown out for abuse of an official, and allegedly another Sheffield player being involved in an altercation off the ice with Hull fans. Looking forward now to the weekend though, the netminder in question there will be James Hadfield. Now he is backed up by statistically the second worst defence in the league. He's faced 1,152 shots, shipping 125 goals for a save percentage of 89.15. Now Sheffield will also be hamstrung by the fact that they're likely to be missing Pavel Murner, who was thrown out of the game following abuse of an official on Tuesday the 27th against the Hull Pirates. In the same game they also lost to Donatas Kamiliauskas for a check to the head penalty, which is likely to carry another couple of game penalty on top. However, Murner, on 197 penalty minutes, is the Steel Dogs' most penalised player, eclipsing Callum Patterson by over 60 penalty minutes. So that's our look forward to the weekend. It's likely to be feisty. And don't forget, our next game is on Sunday, the 1st of January 2017 at 5:30 here at Planet Ice Peterborough when we face the Sheffield Steel Dogs. Starting with one of the big faces of Peterborough hockey, our captain James Ferrara. James, thanks for joining us.
No problem, anytime.
So, you've been at the club now since the 9-10 season, this time round.
Yep.
Before that, you've come through the Peterborough junior system, and then some time in the Nottingham Panthers. How did that come about? 'Cause you were...
Yeah, obviously I came up through junior development, and I was about 15 when I started training up, and I played a couple of games that season, and then spent a lot of time with the Phantoms a couple of seasons after that and become more of a regular. It was kind of at the end of that season that I'd had some contact from Nottingham, but obviously I was at sixth form and I needed to get certain results to get into Nottingham Trent Uni, which was my first choice, my second being Bedford, and depending on where I went as to kind of how hockey would go for me then. So obviously I had a long time to wait before I got my results in August, so it was one of those where I'd signed on at Peterborough. Kevin King was the coach at the time, and I was happy to play for the club, as I always am. But obviously Nottingham had chased me quite a bit that summer, and I'd said, look, you know, it's one of those things where I'm going to have to wait on results and for other things to fall into place, and you know, I got the results I wanted. And it was one of those things where they'd sent me through an offer and said, you know, are you interested? I said, of course I am. You know, it's Nottingham Panthers, it's the elite league. I'm 18 years old. Yeah. Why wouldn't I want to play and develop at the highest level? So I spoke to Kevin about it, and he was really good. You know, and John, who was assistant coach at the time, and they were fully supportive of my decision. You know, it wasn't like I was moving to play for a rival or you know, another EPL team. It was a chance for me to progress and develop as a hockey player, and you know, they let me out of my contract at that time to sign for Nottingham. It was a couple of weeks into the season by the time it all went through. My second weekend in Nottingham was Continental Cup in France, so it was a good chance to get to know the guys in the team.
So really right in at the deep end.
Yeah, pretty much.
So then you had 3 years or so with the Panthers.
Yep.
How was that for you? I mean, as you say, you were 18 years old, uni student and playing pro hockey.
Yeah.
How did that all fit together?
It was probably a little bit like my life now, crazy at times and busy and hectic, but you know, I've always managed to balance studies and hockey, and both have been equally important to me. So it's just another challenge along the way, but it was something that I wanted to do. I thoroughly enjoyed my time at uni, and I met some great friends there, and a couple of them, the guys I lived with actually in my second and third year, I'm still in touch with and good friends with now. But I love the hockey as well, and actually really developed as a player there. And you know, a lot of the things that I do now, I developed whilst I was at Nottingham, especially the defensive side of my game. I decided to play a lot of games in defence in the elite league there for Nottingham when Corey took over as coach, and I'd been used in different roles for my first couple of seasons, really, as a forward under Mike Ellis. One of those involved me playing more of a defensive forward and being the first guy back all the time. And obviously Corey had noticed that I'd done well in that position and then transformed me into a defenseman. But a little bit like now, actually, I was defence 1 week forward, and next depending on injuries and where he needed me to play. And it was during my third season really where our ice time was a little bit more limited. We had a bigger squad. There's a lot of pressure to succeed, so it was kind of in and out of the team. So I had to develop a lot in terms of my character and come through tough times and good times. But you know, it's part and parcel of being a young player and trying to play at the highest level possible, that you have to take the highs and the lows and learn from the lows as much as, you know, gain confidence from those highs. And I certainly did a lot of both.
A couple of seasons back, and one of the things that's been a fairly regular fixture in this team, there's always been at least one Ferrara playing. Season before last, we had all three of you.
Yep.
Robbie, Luke and yourself. What's it been like, obviously growing up with them as brothers, but then also having them as teammates as well?
Obviously growing up with them, we were always competitive, as young boys are, I guess. It was always one of those things I say all the time, that when I was a junior, Robert either played it with me and we got to play in some very successful teams together at juniors, or Luke played it with Robert, and you know, when Robert wasn't playing with me, he was then playing with Luke, so Robert got a little bit of both, and me and Luke never played together. So when I came back, Luke was a prospect player that season, and that was the first time we'd actually all been involved in the same team together, which was great. You know, I loved it, and one of the things that actually really motivated me coming back here and helped me enjoy my hockey again. You know, it was a family atmosphere as much as it was anything else, and you know, we've always had a great group of guys here, pretty much, apart from, you know, the odd ones here or there, but that really did help me settle back in and really enjoyed my hockey. And it's still one of the things I look back on, and you know, the 2-3 seasons that we were able to all play together was really enjoyable. And obviously Luke's moved on to bigger and better things, and is really developing as a hockey player up in Sheffield, and it's great that I can still play with Robert now, and he's logging the amount of games played for the club as well now, and it's great that we've perhaps been able to have that continuity and consistency. And you know, we love playing for Peterborough. You know, it is our home club, and it's something we all really enjoy. And maybe Luke has the ambition perhaps one day to come back, whenever that may be. I don't know, he's still very young, so yeah, it's one of those things. Ironically, kind of hope that he's not going to be back for quite some time. It's a weird thing to say, you know. But if he does,
thanks for coming to the club.
Back,
you've done really well, but please don't come back anytime soon.
No, I mean,
for the right reason.
Lives change and different things happen, and people have different ambitions or are hit with certain things at different times. It means they've got to change their perspective on what's going on. But yeah, you would hope that, you know, he continues his development and does really well.
Yeah. So lifting the playoff trophy, the three of you together, was that a big thing for you as well?
Yeah, it was massive. It was obviously Luke's last game for us before he went off to Sheffield full time. So I think for him it was a nice send off. But I mean, all three of us to be successful in a Phantom shirt and a Peterborough hockey shirt was a massive thing. And it's not something when you're younger you think, oh, you know, one day we're all going to do this together. It's not something you sit down and decide. Yeah. But for it to happen is almost a dream come true at the same time. You know, it's especially for our family who's grown up watching hockey before we even started here in Peterborough, to then see us all together. You know, we had a nice family shot at the end with the trophy. Yeah. My sister, I had a little baby by then as well. She was only a few months old, and it was really nice actually to have that. You know, it's a memory we'll always look back on, and it's one of it's probably the most special time for me as a hockey player in Peterborough.
So we're going to do a couple of quick questions now.
Yep.
So these are the ones that can provoke some of the more interesting answers.
Okay.
If you had to pick 4 of the guys to go on a line with you, who would they be?
4 of the guys from our team now, or
anyone you've played with?
Wow, on the spot. Well, obviously we've talked about them a lot, so maybe I'll throw my brothers in there. So if let's say I'm playing on the wing, maybe my preferred position. Luke can go in the centre, Robert's in defence, as he always is. That leaves me 2 other spots. That's a difficult one because, I mean, very, very difficult one. And I play with so many guys, and I've got so many friends who I'm still in touch with that I don't play with. Could be one of a number of people.
Yeah. Question is, whose Christmas card list do you want to be thrown off of for not mentioning them? Really?
Depends who's going to listen to this, I guess. Who's going to watch this? Probably a lot of the current guys, so guys that are in and around the team. I'll say someone just because he'll love the fact that I've probably said him, and perhaps over other guys he travels with. I'll say Will Weldon. Because he'll get a big buzz out of that, confidence booster. So that's 3 forwards then technically we have. So if I was to go with another defenceman, perhaps. Wow.
Yeah, now you really are sport for choice.
Unless I go in defence and I pick another forward, they're better than the D anyway, aren't they? So.
Oh, you could pick yourself for both. Actually, I mean, you seem to have done both.
I'll go midfield.
Through, so.
I'll go midfield. I'll have 2 forwards and 2 D or something like that. You never know.
Playing trap.
I'm going to say Jeff Glower. I didn't play on a line with him very often, but it was great to play in a team with him. And I learned a lot from him, and I was good friends with him when he was here. And he was a fantastic player to have out on the ice. So I'll say Jeff Glower.
Okay.
Why not?
If you're in the locker room, you as captain, if you had to pick someone to take over from you, out of everyone you've played with, that you would be happy to see put on your shirt, who would it be?
Not just the team now, just anyone.
Anyone you've played with.
Again, that's a really, really tough question. I'd like one day perhaps for one of my brothers to perhaps be a leader and be a captain. Perhaps maybe they're not going to be the captain while I'm here. You know, let's be honest, they're not going to leave me. But perhaps if you know, a few years or so, whenever down the line it is, I'm maybe not playing in the team or whatever, and you know they still are, then it'd be great to see them. And you know. If I'm not playing and I come back and watch, it'd be great to see them as a captain. And I think we're all slightly different but similar in ways, so I think either way, either one of them would be able to adapt. But obviously Robert's playing for the team now, he's a little bit older than Luke, so I think he'd quite like to have it over Luke. So that'd be great, you know. But there's guys on the team now that would step into the role well as well, who are again different personalities to me, but Tom Norton and Mark Lever's assistant captain do a great job as well, and are natural born leaders, and they do a good job in my absence. So.
Okay, Jimmy, thanks for joining us this evening. Good luck at the weekend, and
anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having
me. So that's the weekend preview show for this week. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our guest tonight, James Ferrara. Also, thanks to Planet Ice Peterborough for allowing us to shoot here on Centre Ice. We're back on Sunday at 5:30 p.m, where we'll face the Sheffield Steel Dogs. And if you want to keep up with us, you can get hold of us on social media.